Let's bring in Congressman Mike Gallagher, Republican of Wisconsin. He is a member of the House Intelligence and Armed Services Committee. Two things. One, I'm curious what you think about the president getting on the phone this morning with his European counterparts, perhaps to reassure, or could it be that there might be movement in these peace talks between Russia and Ukraine overnight?
Well, I think the best thing the president could do, and it's something that did not happen on the president's recent trip, is to figure out a way forward in terms of providing the S-300 systems to the Ukrainians that certain allies, particularly Slovakia, have offered to provide. That's what they need right now, and thus far we've seen no movement from the White House. I suspect there's also going to be some cleanup based on the massive gaffe the president made related to regime change in Russia and the fact that the administration is now at war with itself over the messaging really does not suggest that they have a coherent long-term strategy. In fact, we still don't have a national security strategy. At the same time, the Biden Pentagon is bragging about the success of its national defense strategy, something they're calling integrated deterrence. This ignores the fact that, in fact, deterrence failed in Ukraine. And until we grapple with that unpleasant fact and back up our threats with actual American hard power, I fear we will see further deterrence failures.
Congressman, I'd like you to kind of comment on the big news today that Peter Doocy brought us. One is that Russia is very concerned about the president's comments about, President Putin remaining in power. And two, when the president now says that he's not walking back these comments, he went on to say he's just reflecting moral outrage. But as Peter Doocy said, he was reading them off of a note card indicating to me that the White House really wants him to stick very close to the message. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I was listening to Peter Doocy's description, and I had the thought that perhaps the best thing for national security and global stability would be for the White House to shut down Ron Klain's Twitter account, which is doing enormous damage to national security and makes us look like amateurs on the world stage. Listen, the president made a mistake. He made a gaffe. He walked it back. I'm fine with the walk back, but now they're walking back the walk back. And we saw the same contradiction with the connection between sanctions and deterrence. Remember, the Secretary of State, the National Security Advisor, for over a month said the sanctions on Russia were intended to deter, and then the president went out there and said, no, sanctions never deter. So which is it? What is our goal? What are we trying to do with sanctions? We're sending enormously confusing messages. At the same time, we're dealing with a dangerous confrontation with a nuclear-armed adversary. So it's time for the president to exert leadership over his own team and over his own message discipline in order to put the Ukrainians in the strongest possible position to force Putin to remove himself from the Donbass and allow Ukraine to exist as a free country going forward.
Congressman, one last question about all of this, but with a slightly different focus. Lavrov, the foreign minister for Russia, says that their relations with China are stronger than ever. Is there anything that you can tell us that you've heard about that front, like anything that we're picking up in terms of back-channel communications between the two countries?
Well, I think the relationship between Russia and China does remain strong, though they've encountered a temporary setback in Ukraine. These are countries that have outmaneuvered the West for the last 15 years. They're led by a hard man for whom human life is very cheap. And Xi Jinping recently invoked Mao, saying that he would not hesitate to ruin the country internally in order to rebuild it anew, which suggests to me both Putin and Xi are prepared to absorb enormous pain and certainly subject their own citizens to enormous pain in pursuit of the goal of destroying the West. That's who we're dealing with. We need to wake up. We need to invest in our defense before it's too late. And the latest Biden defense budget does the opposite. It doesn't even keep pace with inflation, and that's what worries me.
And that budget proposed yesterday by President Biden and will no doubt get a lot of debate as it moves forward. Thank you, Congressman. We appreciate it.